The scene with Perry last night, I wasn't expecting that, but I think there's a multitude of ways to look at it. I think first and foremost, you got to remember, Corey Perry's both those guys have been around the league for a long time. They've been in situations like that a lot of times where the shoe has been on both feet. And I don't know if they would have had access to the replay. I'm assuming they probably did. They probably saw it. But if they didn't, then you can't expect Foligno and the Leafs to react the same way that we would watching it at home 100 different times. Right. Like if you're live and you don't get the luxury of a replay, all you know is Corey Perry hit your guy and he went out on a stretcher. I also feel like Foligno may have took it into his own hands, and I think both teams should probably appreciate this. I know it's backwards thinking based on the way society works, but I got the impression when he was talking to Perry, and I think it was Weber on the ice, he said, let's just do it and it's done. Like, it's over. Then there's no more – because if this game gets out of control and we're down 5-0, then someone's going to really take a run at you. And
I also thought it might have helped his teammates too, Hayes, because he was like, I got to let the guys know that we got to play after this. As ugly as that was, like, we still have an intense game, and we can't just stand around saying, oh, man, that was terrible, because then we're going to get rinsed.
Well, I personally, I thought Craig Button had a great response to it last night. He said, doesn't matter how we feel in the fans and media and opinionists and people on Twitter. Nick Foligno and those guys on the bench, and same thing in Montreal, it was how they were going to take care of it, whether it needed to be taken care of or not. It's not us to judge. Like Nick Foligno, I thought it was a bit weird, but to be honest, I could see the rationale. He was like, hey, we need to snap out of this. Let's get this over with. You could see them talking, and I think he may have seen the replay. They have the iPads there. It might have played on the Jumbotron. Mm-hmm. He even admitted he didn't think it was malicious. He thought, but he also, that's my captain laying there. I need to jar my group back into something. I think he tried to take it as a leadership role and go, hey, let's get this back. Let's put this to bed for both teams and get back at this.
Which I think is an important point.
But for us to judge on, I saw a lot of people. I got texts from people, in Alberta watching going, yeah, I didn't think the fight was necessary. Well, guess what? That you don't matter to what they feel on the ice. That's and that
it takes two to tango too. I mean, exactly. I do think what was probably important to point out in terms of how that actually ended up taking place also was the guy involved, and that's Corey Perry. Where let's say that's a kid, let's say that's Suzuki or Kotkaniemi if he was playing last night. I don't think Foligno's not going to drop his gloves and chase him around and jump him.
Right.
It was Corey Perry. Perry's been around a long time. He's been in many fights. He's been chased before. He's been the one chasing, and he clearly wasn't in the mood for it. But he's like, "Let's go." Like, okay, we're going. I'm a big boy. We're okay. They serve their 5 minutes, and you move on. And I think Perry probably understood that was in the best interest of him, Foligno, the code, the mood, whatever you want to call it. And it happened, and you move on.
Right.
And listen, it was jarring because of what just went on. Like you get a guy moving off in the stretcher and then two guys are fighting. You're like, this could happen again. Like if one guy gets popped, if Foligno pops him,
wow.
And Perry, like Foligno won the fight. Perry was just basically like, let's do it, let's get over with it, and move on with the game.
I kept thinking to myself, the scary part is what if Perry gets a lucky punch in and pops him and knocks him out?
Then
I
all
kept
hell
thinking,
breaks
there you got
loose.
two guys gone.
Yeah,
that's all I kept thinking about. Like Perry didn't really throw a punch. He was like, I'm going to take a few and just. But if it's like, if Perry ends up being a wiry fighter and was like, the hell with this, I'm going to fight, and he ends up catching Nick with one, like now all of a sudden you're down two guys. Like that, I kept thinking that the whole time during the fight.
Yeah, and ultimately nothing ended up happening. So it moves on. I don't think it carries over to tomorrow night or anything like that. The Leafs have to focus on the game.